Here he is, bursting out by Targan. Tapped on the right foot. The package.
One last roll of the dice for Leo! Leo Barry-Eustace! The miracle on grass!
Cyril takes a special and goes bang. Do a push up with him on top of you, Jakey.
I see it!
Boys kick the goal. Boys kick the goal from inside the net. Back. Centimetre.
If that doesn't get you on the couch at home, nothing will! Sometimes you just gotta sit back and enjoy the show!
Part 2. Well, next off the list, Jacko, Richmond. Very odd year for Richmond. It was...
I enjoyed it.
They obviously sort of were still like a premiership fancy.
Yeah.
Not for me. I think, you and I had discussed that many times last year about how I was convinced that they were still surprising us all the time with how good they were.
Yeah.
And ultimately it didn't take that much to go wrong for what transpired last year to take place. Start with their outs and ins. It's a decent list. So Asprey and Hooley both retired.
Yep.
Coleman Jones has been traded and Chol left in free agency. They've added Josh Gibcus with pick 9. They also have 4 other picks inside the top 30.
I've heard big raps on Gibcus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, he's got raps.
Seems like he should be okay.
Yeah.
I don't know any first round draft pick where anyone ever says preseason, oh no.
No.
So they've all got raps.
Yeah.
A bunch of other picks inside the top 30, none of which look like they're going to play immediately unless the injuries take hold. Robbie Tarrant via trade.
Yep.
So a decent swap. They needed to shore up their back line. They've lost 2 defenders in Asprey and Hooley, one of which retired surprisingly in Asprey, and Hooley, who they forced out into retirement.
I can't believe it, really.
It's kind of odd because he was integral to them, and then he had one season of getting properly injured, and they went, "Oh, you're done.
Yeah.
See you later." Thinking, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Anyway, I found it staggering. So, aside from that, the big news story out of their year in 2021 was that the dynasty was over.
Yeah.
It's done. Like I said, a lot of that through injury, but it displayed their complete lack of depth as well.
Yeah. Yep.
When they had to move guys into different positions, they were good for 2 weeks. They couldn't hold for 3. It was really tough.
Yeah.
Hardwick. Now, this might be a long bow.
Oh.
Hardwick's off-field goings-on at the start of last year.
Yeah.
There was a question mark that I brought up in conversations with people about whether that affects a group or not. Same with Buckley.
Yeah, of course. And we might see it with Goodwin.
Yeah, there's no evidence to say
I don't think we'll see it with Goodwin.
There's not much evidence to say that it definitely did affect them.
Yeah.
I think one thing that did affect them, though, was the off-field indiscretions of a lot of the players across that 2020 season and in the off-season.
Yeah, Coleman Jones and Stack, Kebab Stand. And,
these guys were just looking it's hard to keep the dynasty going when, holes are popping up in the boat when you're not playing. All of a sudden, it's just, a bad decision by a young player, followed up by another bad decision by another young player, and then next minute, it happened in Collingwood too. Mm-hmm. Wheels came off real quick.
Yep.
That didn't turn into a dynasty at all. And it felt like to me that was part of some of the recipe that meant that Collingwood fell off a little bit.
Yeah. Agreed.
Now, in terms of the win-loss, that consecutive losses to West Coast, St Kilda, the Suns, and Collingwood. This is after they beat the Bombers over in Perth.
Yeah.
They thumped us in the end. It was nearly 40 points. They ran over the top of us.
That was crazy.
And then they had those 4 losses.
Yeah.
West Coast, St Kilda, Suns and Collingwood. 4 teams that ended up finishing below you.
Yeah.
That's unforgivable. That's a lot of their season right there.
Yeah.
In that month was pretty shocking. 4 wins from 11 games versus eventual top 8 teams.
People were still thinking that late season surge was coming and that they'd win it again.
Well, they've got that history of, slowish start.
Yep.
They can win it from any position on the ladder.
Yep.
Yeah, but
they were still, even after the West Coast loss, they can still win it.
Yeah.
As soon as they lost to Gold Coast, it's like, well, they're not playing finals.
Yeah, that was it.
Yep.
That was it. But yeah, 4 wins from 11 games versus eventual top 8 teams. It's not great.
Nah,
that doesn't read very well at all.
No.
Short, Baker, Jack Graham, Jack Rewalt, the only players to play 22 games, which is great because they're essential players.
Of course, yeah.
But you couldn't find another guy to play 22 games. 4 players to play 22 games. No wonder you were having bad losses. You had no consistency.
No continuity at all.
Terrible. So look, it's easy to look at Richmond and laugh, and that does feel like a bit of tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah, of course.
Which Australians are guilty of.
Yeah.
But clearly, the magic is gone.
Yeah.
I've said this to you a few times now. I think it's gone. Unless
but
the magic is dependent on an unwavering best 22.
Yeah.
Now, that was not the case when they won their first one. Mm-hmm. It was soldier in, soldier out.
Yeah.
Sure, come in, do a role, blah, blah, blah. Marlon Pickett, like that.
Yeah.
That was their mantra.
Townsend.
Yeah. They had this brand. They all believed in it. They all bought into it. They tried to execute it last year and it failed.
Mm.
So if they can have a best 22 that is formidable, what can they offer? The problem is their age. Edwards, Prestia, Cochin, Nank, Vlosten, all injury prone.
Yep.
Dusty? Question mark.
Yeah, question mark. Well,
Question
he's 30,
mark.
yeah?
Bolter?
Bolter?
Question mark?
Nah. He's the real deal for me.
But he's missed a bit of footy already.
No, he has.
Yeah, so I'm saying injury prone. They're carrying a lot of injury risk amongst really essential players.
Nah, he'll be all right.
But if any of those 2 or 3 go down for long
they're
stretches,
in big trouble.
It could just be another repeat.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I see that happening. And there's one big reason, is that their draw is absolutely premium. It is A grade. They could not have asked for a better draw. 14 games at the MCG this year.
For a change.
So they get to play you.
In non-COVID years, I must add.
Dogs, Port, Cats, Brisbane, and Essendon twice at the G. All these teams that finished above them, they get it on their home deck with an advantage.
Yeah.
Only 5 games outside of Victoria all year. Mm-hmm. Here's the most laughable part. Fox Footy said this is the 8th hardest draw in the competition. What are you guys talking about?
Or maybe they just don't have any confidence with the list.
It's silly. The thing that I'm looking for this year is Bolton and Rioli and Stack dependable? Do they keep growing? Do they turn into better footballers than they were last year?
Okay, Rioli and Stack, I'm absolutely not convinced. But Shy Bolton, he's got something. It's just a matter of can he produce it on a consistent level?
Yeah, so I don't know if it was...
But position, they've got to get him in... They've got to really discover where he belongs, because there's a bit of chopping and changing with, forward to centre, midfield.
You're absolutely spot on. I couldn't have said that better myself. Does he belong right in the midfield? Or is he a winger? Or is he a high half forward? Do they need to start thinking about him like an Isaac Heaney?
Yeah.
Like, you are a forward who we can roll through the midfield, but you're not a midfielder.
Yeah, I like that idea.
I think that's where he looks good.
Bit of a pinch hit.
So aside from those guys, it's all on the 150 gamers.
Yep.
Jack Graham, Short, Vlosten. And the reason is because Dusty is the list of the players that are this year or already are 30 plus.
Yep.
Dusty, Grimes, Prestia, Tarrant, Rewalt, Cochin, Shane Edwards, Josh Caddy, Kane Lambert, Tom Lynch. That's a lot. That's a Geelong aging group.
Yeah.
Like, some of them
I
might
actually
be
can't believe Tom Lynch and Prestia are nearly... they are 30.
Tom Lynch will be 30 in a month or something.
Wow.
I know. Yeah, got there quick.
Yeah.
Got there
Real quick.
So adding Tarrant, I think, was a clear signal to the rest of the comp that, someone of his age, but granted he's very reliable, but of his age, that they still think they're close.
Yeah.
So if they think they're close,
Yeah.
and they spent some of their higher picks on defenders who are going to take some time to develop, so like I said, they're not ready-made, they're not ready to roll this year. I think they think this is a big final September thrust.
Yeah.
Before they probably lose Rewalt and Edwards at the end of the year, guaranteed.
Cochin
as well. So that's 3 big names gone.
Yeah. Well, I said to you, I think last week, I honestly thought Cochin should have hung him up at the end of last year. He just looked broken, battered, and slow. And
yeah, he looked all right in the preseason game. He actually looked good.
Yeah, I didn't watch
it. I think they took him off at like 3/4 time. He was cracking in like he was 5 years
old.
old.
Well, there you go. I'm wrong.
But this is preseason stuff.
Yeah.
He's smart enough to know I'm probably only going to be out there for 3/4. I'll throw my body in and see if it holds up.
I kicked 4 in a match sim at Park Orchards once, mate. Do you know what I did for the rest of the year? Maybe cut a few oranges, cleaned a few boots, told my teammates they were guns. That's about it.
Spiritual.
What
spiritual does. But look, I think the thing that can't be understated about Richmond is that defying the odds has been part of their DNA the whole time. From 16, up until now. Can they keep going, though? I really want to lean towards yes. I think if they stay healthy and these positional changes, you add Tarrant and move Bolter back to forward, where he looked pretty good. You add that athleticism alongside Rewalt and Lynch, and maybe you kick a few more goals and look a little bit more dangerous.
Yep.
Give Dusty a full season, if he stays healthy, and he's still Dustin Martin, which is fine. Like, he's just about to be 30. That's no big deal. He should still have years in his prime, still at the top. But does it last all year? How much has this affected him? It feels like, on first glance, that it's just been a nice long holiday for him.
Yeah.
And he'll be recharged. But last year was 9 wins. And 1 draw.
Yep.
I'm saying that this year, it's 12 wins.
12.
And that they're definitely a finalist.
Yeah.
So I'm going to set the line at 11.5 wins. You going over or under?
Over.
It's going over.
I'm going over. Yep.
Richmond on the rebound. That will be one of the big stories of 2022.
No, you've convinced me. I think the Bolter one for me. If he can go up and put proper scoreboard pressure, use his athleticism, win big marking contests, and provide another tall target, I really like it because it was working with Callum Coleman-Jones through periods last year.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
And Chol through periods.
And Chol, yeah. So, and Hardwick, he's a three-time premiership coach.
Yep.
And yeah, I believe they'll improve for sure. Yeah.
Nice. I like your optimism.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Now tell me about another team that most people are optimistic on. Fremantle Dockers, Jacko.
So the Freo Dockers, Bob, they finished last season in 11th place with 10 wins and 12 losses. Periods of last year, Freo looked really good. But their bad is bad. Yeah. There's no real in between. That's what I've always found. They're a frustrating team. Because, I certainly think they've got enough talent. There's no doubt about it. But, I was really bullish about them last season. I think I had them in my 8. And I was wrong. That was shocking. But, with Fremantle, this rebuild feels like it's been 7 years now. So since they were properly competitive, playing deep in finals.
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple of years after their grand final loss to Hawthorn. But it feels they aren't far away from a finals push. And maybe this year could be... I don't know. I mean, I think they're the same as Carlton for me. I'm nowhere near... They're nowhere near a lock for me to make finals. But it wouldn't shock me if they did finish 8th. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and 7th at best. But again, they are not anywhere near a top 6 team yet. They could be in the future, but not this year. They've got a genuine superstar in Andy Brayshaw. There's no doubt about it.
Yes,
he is an absolute star. I love him. Mundy, he's going to go around again. He was just back to his absolute best last year. I mean, was it the 40-man All-Australian squad, I believe. Just unbelievable. He's 36 years old, I believe he is. Running around like a 25-year-old. It was just awesome. So he was just oozing class once again. Caleb Sarong stood up when needed to last year, especially through those, as I might have mentioned earlier, or on part one, where when Fife wasn't playing, Caleb Sarong was asked to do a lot more. Where does he go from here? Does he thrive? Does he keep getting better? Or does Jordan Clark come in and disrupt his either position or his development? Because, who knows? But getting Jordan Clark's really fascinating for me. It's a fascinating watch because I do wonder, I really feel like the Cats have really they've let go of a really good kid that they should have been putting the last 2 years of time into. He wouldn't have been out of place if he was playing grand final night 2 years ago. He wouldn't have been out of place.
Agreed.
He's a great young player. He's quick. He can kick goals. He can break lines. I really like him. They've picked up a really good player in Jordan Clark. But we'll get to the ins and outs in a moment. Nat Fife now, he's obviously, what would he be, 30, 31? Around that period.
Early 30s, yeah.
Early 30s, yeah. So, absolute, like he'll go down with Pavlich as the best ever Fremantle Docker. Arguably the best. No, he's a 2-time Brownlow medalist, so probably is the best now. Can Nat Fife's body hold up, and can he regain sort of that brilliance that he can bring in, week out? Like, I just worry about his body, those shoulders, those...
You'd have to say no.
Yeah.
It's failed him most years of his career.
Yeah.
At some stage and in different ways.
Yeah. And a year older. Yeah, definitely.
Well, it was at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Was it already in the off-season? Where they said, oh, actually, we're going to have to redo his
You'd have to go back in and clean it up
We're
again.
going to have to do it again.
Yeah.
We didn't quite get it right. We didn't realise how bad it was. It's like, oh, jeez, mate.
Which is frustrating for the footy fan because he's the best. He's so good to watch, mate.
At his best, I mean, you said it earlier about that. Ooh, there was a battle between Cripps and Bont. Well, it was Fife above both.
Yeah.
And then the injuries started.
Yeah.
And, is it possible to be down on your best for a couple of years?
Yeah.
And then get back to that peak in your early 30s?
2 years ago, I know he won a Brownlow, was it 2018?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even two years ago, I still had him as the undisputed best player in the competition.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah. As far as what he can do and how diverse his game is, and his aerial prowess, but his ability to win it at ground level. He's just the perfect prototype.
Yeah, so he was as tough as Dangerfield and Dusty, but far better in the air than both of them.
Took screamers consistently.
And could play at both ends, so he could play defence if he needed to, and, he was like the universal soldier. Yeah. The guy walked in, you're like, are you a real human being?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, I've told you a million times, he's Anthony Koutafidis 2.0.
Yeah, it's a great call.
Yeah, and Adam Goods even. Adam Goods to an extent. He's just that good. He's just that sort of player. So yeah, can his body hold up? Looks like a no from both of us. Josh Tracy, he showed a bit last year. I don't mind him. Sort of the second ruck option. Oh no, he'd be the third ruck option because he'd ruck down forward when Rory Lobb wasn't playing.
That's it.
Rory Lobb they kept. He wanted out. He wanted to go to GWS.
Yeah.
He's wished him not get granted. So it'll be interesting to see what he can bring. I thought he was quite good in stages.
Rory Lobb is good for Fremantle.
Yeah.
It's one of those players that there's no way I don't know if I'd want him on my team.
Like Hugh Grant's good for a rom-com. He'd be terrible in an action movie, mate.
Yeah. Taberner had quite a good year down forward as well.
He's good.
I really liked him, and apparently...
Just a little bit more help.
Apparently Swakowski is elite, according to Champion Data.
Yeah. Well, I've got him written down here. All-Australian...
All-Australian, game's number one small forward.
Yeah.
Elite by Champion Data.
Yeah, if they can win it and go all the way, he's a lock for Norm for me, so... Don't even know his first name. Sam? Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Because he's a gun. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, moving on. Sonny Walters, he's the fascinating one.
Very fascinating.
Yeah, because when he's on, he's one of the best small forwards in the comp. And he's a match winner, and we've seen it time and again. Wins games off his own boot in the past, but he'd be around 30, 31 as well.
Yeah, this is... He had his chance. He peaked and he had a chance to maybe get out or, keep backing up that delivery for his team.
Yeah.
And neither have transpired,
Yeah.
and he just lost his sparkle last year.
Yeah, there was.
wasn't
Yeah,
there.
that spark just wasn't there at all. So he's a big watch for me. What he can bring and contribute. Alex Pearce, he's back.
So that's the biggest thing for me
Yeah.
is their backline.
Yeah.
Add Griffin Logue back into the equation. Alex Pearce allows Luke Ryan not to be the sole
Yeah.
accomplished defender.
Joel Hamling,
Joel Hamling.
Yeah, jeez.
So now you get some numbers. Luke Ryan can go back to being this elite disposal by foot
Yep.
defender who can try and break some lines and get over the top of a press. But he was having to do kickouts. He was having a one-on-one guys deep in the square. It was crazy.
Yep. A question I do have for you in relation to the Dockers. The loss of Chera. How do you feel? Does he leave a void, or does Jordan Clark just come in and play a role, and with Andy Brayshaw and Sarong and still Fife and Mundy, they'll be okay?
It's an interesting question. So they could always just put, when Fife's healthy, plonk him right in the middle alongside Brayshaw.
Yep.
And then you might not even have to play Mundy in there, although you should. But you could put Sarong in there if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
And you've got a midfield that is going to win a lot of clearance footy.
Yeah.
A lot. So add Mundy in there and it might win a little bit more.
Because that gets me to my next man. Big Ruck Dog. The Big Ruck Dog. Sean Darcy. I'm going to go the early crow here, Bob. I think he's good enough to be an All-Australian by the end of this season.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a massive call, but
No.
but when you've got Grundy and Gawn to
hard
compete
to
with
see
as
him
well.
going past
Yeah, and Nick Nat, if he
both.
stays on the park.
Might have to go past both.
Yeah.
Depending on how the selectors view Ruckman this year.
But I tell you what, he's got it. He's
Yeah.
got it. He's a great tap ruckman. He can go forward, take big beast contested marks, and go back and slot goals.
yeah.
Yeah. I think this season's the season where he puts himself up as a premier ruckman of the competition, which is really exciting because I believe he's re-signed on a long-term deal, so he's committed.
He gave a great interview at the end of last year when Chera had left or was leaving, just about. I mean, it was a fait accompli if he hadn't already left. And he was talking about how the rest of the young players were committed to the idea of staying there and building something.
Yep.
I think they know that, Mundy's gone, maybe Lob wants out, but ultimately we've got a young core that should stay together.
Yep.
And they've got a coach they seem to like playing for. Yeah, they're gutted by injury last year, and they manufactured 11th on the ladder.
Yeah. Well, what sticks out to me was the last derby. They came out the blocks and just put West Coast to the sword. West Coast came right back into that game and challenged them. And it almost felt like Freo were folding before our very eyes. And then, bang, they found it again. West Coast came back again, challenged them once again, and Freo went, nah. They put the game to bed in a really tough, hard-fought contest. Mm-hmm. And David Mundy, I can still remember him. I think he won a clearance, dished it off, got it back, and ran in and kicked a goal in the first quarter. And it was just, it was awesome to watch. And they hadn't won a Western Derby in years. It had been maybe 15, 16 games, I think, where West Coast just dominated them. So they got their first Western Derby win last year. So that was a real positive for their season last year. But yeah, 11th makes sense. They're middle of the road, figuring it out, haven't figured it out. They're a work in progress. They won 10 games last year. I've looked through their draw, and is that I have got them winning 12 games. So my line I'm giving you, Bob, is 11.5. Overs or unders?
Unders. They haven't really.
I'm kind of buying it.
Yeah, so
I did last year, and they let me down,
are,
but I'm kind of buying it.
A lot of people are, and I'm not.
Yeah.
For the one reason is they play a lot harder teams at home this year.
Yeah.
Last year they only got beaten at home.
Well, I suppose they're one of two teams that are overseas. So in Western Australia,
they only got beaten at home twice last year.
Yeah,
the Bulldogs and Brisbane. But they didn't have to play Port there. They didn't have to play Melbourne there. They didn't get to play any of those other teams there. If they have to play home games against better teams, which they do have to play Melbourne in Freo. So you'd expect that to be a loss. They have to play Port Adelaide over in WA. That'll probably be a loss. Brisbane again over there.
You see, I've got
That'll
them.
probably be a loss.
I've got them possibly beating Port Adelaide in Perth.
I would be staggered if they were able to beat Port Adelaide. But we'll see what Port Adelaide's about. We'll get there, but I'm maybe not as high on Port Adelaide as I was last year. I think they've got a really tough end to the season. They got St Kilda at Marvel. They got Sydney at home. Richmond at Marvel, which is Gill giving one to Damien Hardwick.
Have they arranged transport for Hardwick
In the
the other side of town?
Their last 4 games is Melbourne in WA, Bulldogs at Marvel, Western Derby, and then the Giants.
Yeah, so they'll
Away.
win. They'll win 7 games, Bob.
That last month, 5-6 weeks,
Tough.
is tough. You know, if they're up and about, and if they're a team to believe in, we could be sitting there at round 16 going, they are the real deal.
Yeah.
And then they could go 1-5. You know, they could have a year out of the box and be 10 and whatever by the time they get there.
Like North Melbourne all those years ago.
Right.
10-0, I think. And
To start the year, yeah. The Bombers did it one
They
year
finished
too. We
8th.
were like 9-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens to teams. We were 7-0, and then I think we got to 9-1. But it does happen to teams. They could very likely be 10-5, and we're thinking, oh, geez, they're top 4 on the ladder right now, and they could just go 1-5 from there.
Yeah.
And it could just be a disaster.
Well, my thinking with them improving by 2 wins is that I feel they'll win games. They'll win those games they should have won last year, this year. Like those real close losses and those games that they were well and truly in and then fell away. I think they'll correct that against the middle of the road, sort of St Kilda, Carlton.
Well, one of those games last year was against us.
Yeah.
So if they're against teams that we don't think will improve, sure, I'll give it to you. But I think there'll be actually be a gap between some of those wins they had last year and what they'll be at. I mean, they beat the Giants by 5 or 6 goals in round 2. I don't know if they'll be able to do that again. Not straight away, and certainly not in round 22 away or round 23 away. I think they'll really struggle when they get to that
Run out of
point.
legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will be a bit tough for them.
Oh well, maybe I've bought too many stocks, but
No, it's
We'll
they're
see.
they're
We'll
a
see.
team that has been highly traded on in terms of people's predictions.
Yeah.
To start the year, so I don't begrudge you the optimism. I'd rather you be optimistic than not. All right, Jacko, I'll take us to the next one. St Kilda, 10th on last year's ladder. Ins and outs. Carlisle, Robertson, Frawley, and McKernan have all retired. So some notable retirees. In terms of the delistings, the only notable one was Jack Loney. See you later. Delisted. Gone.
Shocked.
And not picked up.
Tough as nails, that 4'8" bugger.
And then Dunstan left in free agency.
Yeah.
So they didn't get to trade a player at all, in or out. So no assets exchanged with anyone. Ins.
Well, they've been spending their tickets over the last few years.
Oh, yeah, they have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it hasn't worked.
Well, in terms of their ins, Wanganeen Malira, Messiah Wanganeen Malira, pick 11. He looks like he's going to play straight away.
Yep, he's in my super coach team.
Very good. Tom Campbell they got in from North.
He'd be
From
about
free
46
agency.
now. Yeah.
I'm not really too sure why they did that, but obviously...
Sandringham probably need a ruckman.
Obviously, they thought it was necessary. Now, in terms of their 2021 performance, obviously they underachieved
Yep.
when compared only to what they'd done in 2020, which I maintain is an asterisk year that's really hard to read.
Yeah.
Long-term off. If you
Yeah.
just take that year in isolation, it's hard to project long-term from there.
Yep.
And even at the end of it, a good friend of ours who likes flapping his gums about his team, I was adamant from the moment that season was over that they had massively overachieved and they would be brought back down to earth. I don't think they're a bottom 4 team by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
But they are right where they deserve to be in that middle bracket of 6
Yeah.
teams. Right in there, in that mix. I really struggle to see how they're going to, with the list they've got, how they get back up to 4th or 5th, which is what some people thought they could do in 2021.
Yeah.
Found out really quickly it wasn't possible.
Yeah.
By round 3, they lost to the Dons, my boys, by 75 points.
Yeah.
The wheels were off in round 3.
Watched that game with you. You were up and about.
At the bye, get this, at the bye, they were 5-8.
Yeah.
5-8's not that bad. Average losing margin of 47 points. That is disgraceful.
Blown out. They beat us in the 2020 elimination final by 3 points. We beat them, 8 months later by 111 points.
Yep.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. Like, no one thought that had happened.
Yeah,
I remember that night watching it, just sitting there like, I like pulling the piss out of our good mate Paddy because, he's had a few opportunities over the journey as well. But I mean, I couldn't pick on him for that. That was grim. That was really grim. That was telling.
Well, look, the same thing with Richmond. They had quite a few injuries. So Jack Steele, Brad Hill, Cal Milkey, and Dan Butler were the only 4 players to play every game.
4 players again.
So, to be fair, they've got some excuses there. The thing is that after the bye, after Rats pleaded with them to play AFL football to an AFL standard, they went 5-4 after the bye.
Yeah.
They fixed a lot, and they still had a lot of those injuries.
They looked heaps better.
Well, they rolled with Luke Dunstan in the middle for long periods of time. And then before the season was over, whilst there was still home and away games left, essentially bullhorn to the rest of the competition, we're not keeping him next year. He was the second best midfielder.
Yeah.
In the games that he played.
Yep.
Yeah, they just refused to play him. And then when they were forced to because of injury, he was so good.
Yeah, I remember, I don't know if it was Friday night, they played a night game against, I think it was Collingwood at the MCG. And Dunstan was running around like Chris Judd, mate.
Yeah.
He looked like a man possessed.
So here's what I don't understand about St Kilda. You let Luke Dunstan walk for nothing.
Yeah.
And you re-sign Jack Billings for 4 years.
Yeah.
What is going on down that club?
Makes no sense.
How is Luke Dunstan not worth something? Because I can tell you right now, Jack Billings is not worth a 4-year contract.
No.
That is, I realise he's just done a hammy or he's done something soft tissue. But regardless, when fit, I mean, it looks like even when fit, he's going to struggle to crack their top 5.
Oh, he's not in their top 5.
There are St Kilda supporters that disagree with me, but I don't particularly care.
Yeah.
Because he just has almost never passed the test of threatening to be a top 25 player in the league. You were the pick before.
Don't do it. Don't say it.
The pick before Marcus Bontempelli.
You are kidding me.
And after what can only be described as a pretty up and down career that is so much closer to ending up in journeyman territory than it is star territory, how is that man worth 4 years?
Yeah, I have no idea.
So some of these off...
Did Brett Stanton ever get a 4-year deal from the Bombers?
If they did, they would have wanted to keep it quiet because that field would have got stormed the next week.
Because when I hear journeyman...
It's one of the contract
when I hear
exit
journeyman,
clauses death because I'll take care of that for
when
you.
I hear journeyman, he is the captain of the team of the century, that fella.
The other thing that I should point out in terms of re-signings is Jack Steele extended for 5 years.
Brilliant.
It's fantastic.
Amazing.
You guys have got the complete package there.
Yep.
Like a really nice-looking, humble champion as well. A guy who...
Nice looking. God, he's
want,
beautiful.
but you'd want him to embody your club.
Yeah.
He is that
He's
guy.
the perfect face of the club.
Totally
He's their Marcus
agree.
Bontempelli.
He's the... Yeah, well, Paddy was adamant that he's their Lenny Hayes. It's like this is just another Lenny Hayes.
Brilliant.
And maybe even slightly better, which is a huge call. I understand that, but maybe slightly better.
In a different type. In a different way.
Well, he's just taken the step up. So, granted, they finished 6th and he finished top 4 in the Brownlow. Now they've had a bad year.
Yeah.
And he finishes top 4 in the Brownlow.
Yeah.
So, he had an out-of-the-box year where he just got noticed by the
because he was. You were on watch with him at the start of last season.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, is he overachieved like
Was
the rest
that
of
real?
them?
Yeah. It was real.
Oh, it was so real.
It's very real.
Yeah.
And he just needs
He
the
deserves
help
every
now.
year of that contract.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there was a couple of other parts about St Kilda. And there was one stat in particular I wanted to highlight from last year. They were top 4 for hitouts to advantage because they've got 2 very good ruckmen when combined. They rank 11th for clearances, though. There is no help there for Jack Steele.
Yep.
Zach Jones is taking some time out from mental health.
Yep.
Billings has done a hammy now. So I just don't know what they're starting. Like, you let Dunstan go. Where are your other clearance players? And how are they getting the football? It's really not obvious what happens in round one.
Yeah.
And once round one looks dicey, they are the type of team that drop their head.
Yeah.
And I haven't quite seen them try and fix that at all. I don't think they were a massive slider, obviously, last year. I don't think that's going to continue. They're not going to go down further, in my opinion, than what they did last year, mostly because of Ryder and Marshall being a great duo for skill and flexibility. And there's a lot of development on offer for guys around the 50 to 100 game mark. They've got Hunter Clark, Dougal, Howard.
I like Dougal. He's good.
Jack Higgins, Josh Battle, Cal Wilkie. They're all decent AFL players.
Yeah. Yeah, Cal Wilkie in particular. So he was one of the 4 that played 22 games last season. He was brilliant, mate.
He was very good.
Yeah.
It's a shame they've lost Caulfield.
Yeah.
That's a big shame.
Oh, it hurts. Yeah.
But the question is, do they have the right mix?
No.
This is the thing I've always looked at. You know, they already let go of guys like Nunes, who were just a carbon copy of a whole bunch of other guys they've got.
Yeah, same.
All the same.
All same. Yeah.
You know, like
my club were all same for years.
Yeah.
Yep.
Some teams become one pace and they become one type of player, but you know, I watched them move Josh Battle down back.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, like why?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
He's a big dude.
Has he just developed some defensive prowess? I don't see the sense in it. So I think they've got
trying to find a spot for him, maybe. That's all they're trying to do, really. Is that how you feel? Like they're just trying to keep him in the side?
Here's the thing. I think they've got a lot of, say, 28-year-old guys.
Yeah, and they're not sure about others.
That by the end of the year could be absolutely worthless.
Yeah.
Crouch, Dean Kent, obviously.
Yeah.
Billings, Seb Ross. These guys are all at that age where they should be tearing it apart, be veterans of your team and helping you win games, and they just don't.
No.
They don't whatsoever.
Seb Ross.
What happens if Gresham doesn't help him win games? What happens if he comes back and he can't do it?
Yeah.
Now, I think he can.
Yeah.
I think he's a good enough player. But just what happens? What happens if Zach Jones has a really interrupted year and he's not right or he doesn't play a lot? All of a sudden, you're carrying, 150 to 200 gamers that don't help you win games.
Yeah.
You're carrying them. You can't trade them. No one wants them. What do? Just delist them? You're going to look like North Melbourne all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So they've got a lot to work out in terms of their list management. They start off the season of 2022 with Collingwood, Freo, Tigers, and then Hawks, Suns, and Giants. For them to be taken seriously at all, they cannot be any worse than 3-3.
Yeah.
Those are a bunch of teams that are either below or around you.
Yeah.
If you are less than 3-3, your season is already over.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
Their draw is tough, though. I've given it a D grade for how tough it is. Lots of travel.
Yeah.
A hard 3-game stretch right at the end of the season against Cats, Brisbane, and Swans.
Oh.
So I'll give you this. I read out those 6 teams before. Pies, Freo, Tigers, Hawks, Suns, Giants. If for some reason they're 5-1, then you're playing finals.
Of course.
I would have thought so.
Yep.
But if you're 3-3 and then you're looking at that 3-game stretch to end your season, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Because
you've got to make up all those games in the middle. You've got to find...
Well, you've only got one genuine bona fide superstar.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
Rowan Marshall has the chance to be a ruck superstar.
Yeah.
But you need someone alongside Jack Steele.
Yeah.
And there's too many injury-prone players that are failing to reach their heights.
Passengers.
So many B graders.
Yeah.
So many C graders that play like B graders, but not enough B graders that have A+ games.
Yeah.
That just doesn't seem to happen. Max King's fantastic.
Yeah.
Membry is great.
Yeah.
You need to get the ball to them, though.
Yeah.
And it's got to get there in, a classy fashion.
Yeah. Oh, the 1-2 punch of Membry and King's beautiful. Love it.
So here's the other big point for their year. Rats is out of contract at the end of the year. I don't know what that means. I don't know if the pressure starts early. If they go
2-4.
2-4 at that start, well, then the pressure mounts.
Yeah.
And then we saw what happened when they copped some pressure as a group last year. It just didn't hold up whatsoever.
No.
I don't see how they possibly go past 13 wins. That's impossible for my mind.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of their list.
Yeah.
I can't really see how they get down to 8 wins, though, either. So, I know they only had 10 last year. I'm saying it's 11 wins, and I'm going to make the line 10.5. What are you taking?
So if they can stay healthy, I'm talking King. If he can stay healthy, Gresham plays maybe 18 games minimum. Then I'll take overs. Yeah, I'll take overs.
All right.
Yeah.
The moth has taken over.
Nah, because last year was tough. But they were brilliant the year before in patches. Brilliant.
Yeah. Their best football was very good.
Yeah, so I'm going to take overs. I'm going to back them in. Paddy, I'm going to back them in.
It's been very, very kind to you, Paddy. However, I don't expect the same amount of generous optimism when it comes to the next team, Jacko. Tell us about West Coast.
Well, Bob, I've got it written down literally in my notes here. I've got little dot points here. The first question I've written down is where to even start with West Coast. I think that's a really appropriate opening line because this doesn't read well, mate. This really doesn't read well. So, ins, so off-season. We'll talk off-season quickly. So, ins, Petrevski-Seaton via trade from Carlton. And from what I hear, they've got a good one in Campbell Chesser at pick 14. Unfortunately, he's out for a couple of months, which has given a few super coach people some headaches.
Huge headaches.
Yeah, because he was a lock-in, probably most people's super coach as a rookie. But outs. Jared Brander delisted. Yeah, so that makes no sense to me.
Let him walk.
Because how many times last year did I point at him and go, gee, the doggies could do with him.
Yep, good swing man.
Good swing man. Nice, tall, strapping lad. Like, he's a big fella. But, not good enough for the Weagles. So, off he goes. Through free agency, he finds a home at GWS. Vardy and Daniel Venables retired. Venables I'll touch on. It's a really sad story. High-end draft pick, heaps of promise, heaps of talent. Great for him. He's a premiership player. Albeit, unfortunately, a career cut short due to concussion. And, his story's horrible, Bob.
His story is horrible. And this is off the back of the news only recently that Brad Shepherd has been forced into retirement too because of concussion issues.
See, I've missed that. I've missed that. I thought he just knew what was coming. I'll take my... I was about to say I'll take my premiership medallion. He didn't play.
The Titanic.
He pulled the string.
Hit the iceberg. He's already in the rowboat.
Jeez.
Heading back towards shore.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, so there you go. All right, it is injuries and old men galore at West Coast. I'm just going to cut to the chase right now and say they've run their race, I think. That is it. The last couple of years. So, what was it, 2 years ago, 18 months ago, I sat right in this chair and I told you, Bob, that it's West Coast versus Richmond in the grand final. To me, they were one of two of the clear best teams in the comp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yep. In recent history, I feel that they had the best, most balanced list in the competition. They had their Darling Kennedy with those gun small forwards. Still had Mark LeCras at the time. Liam Flying Ryan was looking good. And then down back, they had Hearn, McGovern. Take your pick. And then Oscar Allen coming up as a young draftee. Young draftee. Back then. But that's all come crashing down really quickly. Injury prone players left, right, and centre. Josh Kennedy's calf keeps going. He's 33, running around like he's 40.
Jack Darling's brain keeps going on.
We'll get to Jack Darling. Luke Shuey's hamstrings, obviously made of paper mache. That just keeps tearing. Unfortunately, the Norm Smith medalist. Oscar Allen. I want to touch on Oscar Allen. So in the off season, they're saying he's not ready.
He's in a moon boot.
And he's in a moon boot.
Right now, he's in a moon boot.
Yeah. So, but then they've also said he's not ready. He's not ready to be the man.
No.
So,
they spent some time playing him down back.
Yeah.
Maybe not last year, but the year before they did, for sure.
This leads to my next question for you, Bob. Oscar Allen, is he a victim of media overhype?
Oh, he might be he might be.
Yeah.
I think there's a small portion where he's a young player ready to sort of get his career started.
Yeah.
That perhaps doesn't want to wait too long. And he got told, we're not moving these two blokes.
Yeah.
Darling and Kennedy. We're not changing anything for you.
Yeah.
If you're good enough...
as you wouldn't either.
If you're good enough, you'll get in there.
Yeah.
And maybe he was a bit disenfranchised with that, or maybe he was just incapable of being as good as they required him to be in order to make changes in the forward line. Now they'd be spewing he's got a moon boot on.
Yeah.
They'd need him all over the ground right now.
Yep.
Dom Sheed's ankle, apparently, they said 8 weeks. I read something that said up to 15 weeks.
15, yeah.
That's horrific,
Yeah.
man.
The same day that our good friend Smitty drafted him in Supercoach draft.
What happened to your foot, dude?
Yeah,
15
yeah.
weeks?
Yeah. Did, it get run over by a Forbie in the car park? It's just,
Some Collingwood supporter finally took revenge.
Braden Maynard took his hotted up Land Cruiser out to Perth. Now, Jack Darling, this needs to be addressed. So, if there's a team right now that is crying out for Jack Darling
Oh, my God.
to lace up his footy boots and kick goals for them, it's the West Coast Eagles, mate.
But
They need him more than they've ever needed him before.
He just doesn't want to be tracked. I mean, he tries to live a very low-profile life playing AFL football out in the middle of a stadium with 50,000 people watching him every weekend.
And let's not forget all you Melburnians that live in your little Melburnian VFL bubble. They have 100,000 members. They are a gigantic football club.
They're huge.
So
The richest club in the AFL?
richest club. Yeah. Yeah. And Justin Langer's on their board, but probably not for long. Apparently he's too intense in board meetings. Tim Kelly. I feel like he's going to be a bit of a lone wolf. He's going to have a really disrupted season with continuity of who he's in the engine room with. I mean, Dom Sheed's out for ages. Luke Shuey will come back and go out. That's just the way it's feeling with Shuey at the moment. Young guns,
Oh, and Yo's out.
yeah,
with
Elliot
ankle
Yo,
injury as
and then
well.
young guns coming up. There's none really.
No,
Nah, and the only young guns they do have are other positions. So Alex Witherden, players like him, Campbell Chesser when he gets his go. But he is a rookie, so
absolutely.
yeah. But Tim Kelly. I think Tim Kelly can still be Tim Kelly, but he doesn't look like Tim Kelly if he doesn't have the help around him.
Well, Gaff's not injured, is he?
Yeah, but Gaff's what? He's
a winger.
He's a winger, mate. Yeah, and.
They're not going to have a lot of inside ball-winning presence whatsoever, are they?
No.
It's going to be tough to win clearances. I understand you'll have Nick Nat for stages, but you guys will struggle to win clearances. I think that's clear that's what's going to happen. And then if Kennedy goes down or has aged real quickly for some reason, because he doesn't run at trainings. He does light jogging. He has a walking day.
Yeah, he's on
training.
Yeah, he's on a Buddy Franklin regime.
And he's had some interrupted pre-seasons I think it's the last 3 years. He's been slow to get. Last year he was crazy slow to get off the mark.
Yeah.
Crazy. We thought he was done. And then he came good around the bye or something.
The
like
Richmond
that.
game.
Took a while.
Tore it apart.
Yeah, and then he was quite good. And it's okay, he's still got it when his body feels right. But, God, you only got 6 good games out of him last year.
Yeah.
What happens if it's 4?
Yeah.
It show's over.
Yeah. So I looked at their fixture. I didn't like what it read.
No.
The number one question to do with West Coast. Is this the end of the road for Adam Simpson?
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I don't think he'll last the year.
Yeah. You don't think he'll last a year?
No.
Mutual or sacked?
I think they'll give him the nudge.
Yeah.
And... mutual or sacked? Well, that's probably decided by only two factors.
Yeah.
Does he want to go on? And if the answer is yes, which jobs are likely available? If the answer is none, then it's not mutual.
Yep.
He'll just be looking to get paid out.
Yep.
And if he's got an eye on the Gold Coast job or something to that effect,
Yep.
then he'll probably happily leave.
Yep.
And spend the next few weeks having a holiday before he starts job number 2.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree.
But you're right, their draw looks decidedly tough. They've got a block in there of games pre the bye.
Yeah.
That is quite brutal.
Yeah, it is. And Kane Corns came out about 2-3 weeks ago and said that they're in a world of hurt. This is, he says, I'm going to call it bottom 4, West Coast.
Ooh.
That's what Kane Corns said. I said it a couple of months ago. However, I have, after talking about, the lesser likes of, Hawthorn, Adelaide, North Melbourne, Collingwood, to some degree, Yeah, I still think they're a little bit better than them because of what they've got. But I have very little faith, Bob. I've looked at their fixture. I've sifted through. I've seen what games are likely to win or lose, whatever. I have them winning 6 games this year, mate. 6 games.
Well, on current win-loss,
Yeah.
that would have them bottom 4 on our ladder.
Yes.
So there you go. So you're saying bottom 4 too?
Yeah, it looks like it when we're looking at,
6 wins.
Yeah.
It's
Mate,
it's hard for me to disagree because if so many of those injuries are months.
And the travel factor too. They hate
travel
travelling.
factor.
They weren't good at it when they were a premiership side.
No, God, no.
Yeah. So, 6 wins. 6 wins. It's all over. So my line's 5.5.
Oh, well, I think they're over the 5.5.
Yeah.
But if you said 6.5, I wouldn't know what to say. Yeah, that's how close they are. So, I can't disagree with you. There's no way that they improve to like 12 wins and play finals.
No.
At their best, they kept finishing 5th.
Yeah.
It would take such a monumental mental shift from this group. And so many players in different roles playing at their absolute best for them to even consider playing a final.
Yeah.
So, I'm with you. I'll say, I think I like your analysis at 6th. I really do. That block of hard games I was referring to, it's Sydney, Port Adelaide, Richmond, Brisbane, Melbourne, Giants. And then the Doggies. That's 7 weeks. That's all before June.
Yeah.
Whilst you have these injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, that could very easily be 1 and 6.
Yeah.
It's almost certainly going to be 2 and 4 at best.
Yeah.
So, I agree. I think that they're going to be down around the 6-win mark.
I will finish this off by saying I've literally written this down. In my opinion, and I'm sure you probably agree with me, it's the end of an era that could have been greater than it was. I think they've left another maybe 2 or... They've left a second, maybe third premiership out there.
Yeah.
They really did, because that list build from the 2015 grand final loss up until now, it was the perfect champion
Well, Tim
recipe.
Kelly was the cherry on top.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
No one thought there was a problem with the cake.
No.
It was just cherry on top.
Yeah. And then, all the rumours about them getting Patrick Cripps as well. It's like, God, they're just going to formulate this super team. Well, this is not a super team. So, yeah. That's West Coast, Bob. It's not looking good.
Not looking good.
Now, the moment our main man has been waiting for this whole time, this whole off-season. Oh, mate, he's been licking his lips. Bobby, talk us through your beloved Essendon.
All right, I'll just try and keep it to facts for as much as possible without letting the emotion get the better of me. But
Stop wanking.
and tables levitating. The outs, Hooker and Zaharakis retired. Sure, that was happening. Delisted Dylan Clark and Marty Gleeson. And no trades. Ins, Ben Hobbs with pick 13. And Jake Kelly via free agency. So the outs are obvious. Ins, the Ben Hobbs kid looks okay.
Looks okay.
I'm not going to say too much about it because I doubt he'll play a lot of senior games, but he looks okay.
I don't want to sound too out of the ordinary, but big raps. Big raps on this kid, Bob.
Big raps. Oh, God, big raps. I mean, they were saying that he was one of the most ready-made inside midfielders in the draft, and we got him with pick 13.
Yeah.
So I think the suggestion is his long-term potential is a bit unclear, but he's got a man's body for a kid, so he can make an impact straight away, and we've decided to take him, which I'm not unhappy about. It sounds good. So our 2021 summary is pretty obvious. We overachieved.
Yeah.
Compared to what everyone thought we were capable of. Not me. I thought that this was always going to be possible. I just didn't think it very likely. So many people I spoke to before last year said bottom 4. So many. That absolutely no chance. We did struggle.
It's pretty disrespectful with your list profile. Bottom 4.
It's easy to see why other supporters of teams don't trust us. It is easy to see that. What they didn't
Probably
expect,
also helps them that you're one of the most hated teams in the competition.
Of course.
For those who don't follow Essendon.
But some of the talent that emerged was hidden. Laverty down back.
Yeah.
Parrish right in the middle. This was hidden talent, even to some Bombers supporters. So
Mason Redmond, like
he's been great, man.
the improvements.
He's been quite good. It's just the consistency got there, and then all of a sudden they're a staple. Like Ridley was looking good the year before, looked slightly better the year after. People started noticing Sam Draper, mostly because he's rolling around with the Mississippi mud flap hanging out the back.
Brilliant.
But he's a good player.
Yeah.
He's a good ruckman, and he'll develop even further. We did struggle for goals from forwards after Hooker had a hot start to the year.
Yeah.
By the bye, Tipper was a lock for All Australia.
Yeah.
And then he was just vanished by the end of the year. So we started strong with some guys. They disappeared, and we had to finish with others. Mm-hmm. Thank God Jake Stringer came along. Because that man...
Fuck off.
After the bye, number one rated player in the AFL. His impact was massive.
Oh, he's just not even that good.
Yeah, I hear it all the time, and I just don't understand it. Like, I don't froth him. I don't think he's the greatest player I've ever seen, obviously. But the impact that guy has, the way he can turn a match off his own boot or his own effort, there's not many men in the competition that can do that. Your boys have one of them in Bont, but do you even have a second? It's so hard to come by.
We had a guy once named Jake Stringer.
Look, the other notable thing, two notable things. In games decided by less than 2 goals, we were 1-6. It's pretty bad reading.
Yeah.
That said, that still got us to 8th, which is impressive. But...
Well, you could have got to, mate.
The story of Essendon for the last decade or plus. No answer in a final.
Yeah.
This time we made an elimination final. It just so happened we played one of the best 5th place teams of the last 10 years. It's been West Coast a bunch of times. You are the most accomplished 5th place team that I have seen in 5th spot for some time. Like, honestly. And it just happened to be us.
Yeah.
And it was like...
And you beat us convincingly a couple of weeks before, but final's a whole new kettle of fish.
It's a whole new kettle of fish. And the weather showed up that turned in your favour because we didn't have the class or the skill to deal with that. The inexperience that had really helped us throughout the year for some energy really showed in a final. And it was to our detriment. So there was a lot to look at and be happy about, and there was a lot to really... have to accept is not up to standard still. Yeah. I think it's a big year for Ben Rutten. You can't hide behind that. It's not about wins and losses. Well, it is now.
Yeah.
And you did a good job last year. You will be expected to keep doing a good job. And if you go backwards, the group goes backwards, and the pressure
mounts really quickly.
Doesn't start to mount in terms of getting in or getting out, but
no.
Questions
but,
about
the week-to-week pressures of can he fix it?
Yeah.
Especially are the players listening? Are they buying in?
Well, we were the youngest or second youngest team almost every round last year.
Yeah.
So if that pressure builds...
It's encouraging.
It was so positive last year. If it builds negatively, what will happen? Who knows? I don't want to find out.
And can I just say, people are going back to the footy, mate. We're going to have full crowds. That Essendon support is going to be off the charts, mate.
Oh, it'll be good.
Yeah.
It'll be good. In terms of on-field, I think there's still some questions around specific roles, especially even for a young guy like Nick Cox, for veteran players like Dylan Shield. Where is your position?
Yeah.
Where will you be every single week? Does that role change over the course of the year? Does it change over the course of the week? And where do the goals come from early on? Is it Jake Stringer? Is it a young guy like Harry Jones? Peter Wright looked very good in the practice game, kicking him from outside 50. So maybe last year wasn't a flash out of the pan. Maybe it was a step forward for a guy like that.
Yeah.
This is stuff I'm interested to find out. However, we're a little bit behind the 8 ball. Our fixture rating, I've given it a D grade. I think it's tough.
Yeah.
We don't leave Victoria for the first 8 weeks, but we play 3 top 4 teams from last year in a row to start the year. So being 0-3 is like really possible. The next 3 games are Adelaide, Fremantle and Collingwood. So I wholly expect us to be 3-3 to start the year. We're going to get to the start of round 7, and it's as if our season starts there.
Yeah.
Can you be a better win-loss team for the remainder of the season? I like to think that the answer is yes.
Yeah. Well, I think
there's more breakout seasons remaining on this list.
Yeah.
I think Draper, if he plays every game, becomes, say, like a top 6 or 7 ruckman.
Yeah,
like clearly
for sure.
Up that
top.
Yeah. Not the top 2 or 3. You know, if it's Gorn, Grundy, and maybe Darcy. I think he's just in that next bracket.
Because he's
below.
fit. He can run.
Yeah, he's a big lad. I think Ridley should get to an All-Australian. That should be his target anyway.
Yep.
There's probably not much excuse. And I think Harrison Jones, if he gets a clean crack at it, he should really look to nudge 40 goals this year.
Yep. Be nice.
Somewhere around the 2 goals a game mark is what he should be looking at. The things I've heard anywhere from, Mick Malthouse losing his mind and saying we could win the flag. That's just stupid. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
As much as I'd like to be that type of supporter, it's not going to happen. I've heard other people saying we've massively overachieved. We'll go back to bottom 4. I don't think that's happening.
Bottom 4.
But
that's more crack pipe than Mick Malthouse, mate.
The reality is, I think that finishing 8th with that record of 1-6 in games decided by under 2 goals, you need to put all of those together and say, well, then that should correct itself slightly. Out of those 7 games, you can be 3 and 4. So there's no reason that we can't be 8th again. I think 8th is the expectation. Anything less than that is a failure now. Not a massive one, but it would be considered a step backwards.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put our predicted wins at 12.5. You going over or under?
I'm going over. I am going.
That's
I'm
what
going
I like to
over.
hear.
I'm going over. You know how I said earlier with Fremantle that I'm kind of buying? Oh, I'm buying Essendon, man.
Yeah.
I am buying Essendon
It's
this
good to
season.
hear from other supporters because I'm just so jaded from what's happened in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And everyone likes to give the Bombers shit about not winning a final, and that's fine. That doesn't actually bother me. It's whether the club's finally pointing in the right direction.
Yeah.
You know how this feels. You've watched your
More than
team do
most.
it, and then all of a sudden it was
Yeah.
like, oh, we want a flag? This is great. And
Yeah.
then, but now
And then dropped off again.
And then dropped off, but now you are not going to drop off.
No.
You know, a drop off would mean finishing 5th.
Yeah.
You're a genuine competitor.
Well, we dropped off last year and lost a grand final. Yeah.
That's it.
So yeah, I'm buying Essendon. I'm buying stocks, mate. I'm all in.
It's good to hear, mate. I appreciate that. Well, here's another team that a lot of people are buying stocks in. The GWS Giants. What can you tell me about them, mate?
Rightio. The Greater Western Scumbags, I used to call them. But that rivalry sort of died down a little bit. Anyway, so GWS finished 7th. They did really well to finish 7th last year. They're really patchy. Out of their control at times. I mean, the injury problems still occurred with them. Like, I can't remember a team having more injury problems every year. Like, proper injury problems. Like, they're superstars missing bulk football. Like, I mean, Stephen Cornelio. Like,
Yeah.
he exploded and then he got injured. Then he came back, exploded, got injured, came back, was no good. Nowhere near it. It was a real shame. I thought he was going to become one of the premier players of the whole competition, and he still can. But yeah, it's just a matter of whether his body will hold up. But we'll get to him shortly. So 11 wins and 10 losses last season, with one feature in the All-Australian team and arguably one of the best players in the competition, Toby Green, your man. You love him. I'm learning to love him. I'm learning to love him.
Yep, you should.
Because I fucking hated him for years. And rightfully so.
It's a soft, gentle love.
Yeah. I appreciate greatness when I say it, and he's great. He is. He just is. So they're ins. Brander. Great pickup. As a free agent. Finn Callahan, pick 3. Leek Alear.
Yeah.
Bobby. There's plenty of buzz around this Leek Alear.
A lot of buzz.
Yeah, at pick 15 they got him.
Yeah, so I've heard less about Finn Callahan
Yeah, and he's
than
pick
I have
3.
about Leek Alear. So it'll be interesting to see when and how and where they get games into those two boys, because I imagine that they will very much consider doing that early on.
Yeah.
They've got a good history of doing well with top young talent.
Yes. Yeah.
And not just from when their inception, like even since then. They've really made the most out of some young guys. I really thought guys like Cumming and whatnot took like a big step last year as young players. Tom Green, they do well with these young guys.
He's one that could explode, Tom Green.
Yeah, he is a candidate. He's a candidate for me.
He's a candidate, for sure. Now they're outs. Jeremy Finlayson finds his way over to Alberton Oval, Port Adelaide Footy Club. He's rated as elite. He certainly doesn't look elite. But he's a workhorse. He tries. He tries week in, week out. Not my favourite player in the world, but
Do you think,
That's a personal
do you
thing.
think there's any neutral, when I say neutral, not family member, in the whole country that owns a Jeremy Finlayson number on the back of their GWS jumper and now Port Adelaide jumper?
No.
Not one.
Nah.
And he's a goal-kicking forward.
Yeah, goal kicking forward.
He just looks like... He looks like an absolute knob. I hate to say, he just reeks of knobbishness.
Yeah, he puffs his chest out after he kicks a goal in the fourth quarter when they're 30 points up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's that sort of dude. But hey, you never know. He could actually be a ripper dude. But yeah, from what we see, knob.
Yeah, the kindest thing I could say is it's white line fever.
Yeah.
He might be a good bloke.
Yeah, and for the fourth time, Shane Mumford's decided to hang up his boots.
For now.
For now. He actually did come out and say if they have no ruckman, that he'd be happy to nominate for the mid-season
Yeah, that's
trial.
great. It just means that he can eat as many pies as he wants.
Yeah.
And then if they really need him, he's like, yeah, I'm good for it. And he'll just get this huge payday to run like 5Ks a weekend.
Yep. But I must say, I have a large admiration for his career. He's had to work hard for it. He started all those years ago down at Geelong, made a name for himself big time, won a premiership at Sydney, and then jumped across the bridge to GWS and carried on his merry way. He was fantastic for them, competing deep in finals. Especially 2016 when they narrowly lost the preliminary final to the almighty conquering Dogs. I've got two memories that stand out for me. Shane Mumford. One was on field and one was off field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what the on-field one will be.
The on-field one was when I don't know how he isn't dead.
Yes.
Because I was watching it with you.
Yeah.
Mitch Duncan.
Yeah, Mitch Duncan.
Mitch Duncan just walked out onto the Monash, right? Well, you know what? He might have got up quicker. So he could have walked out to the Monash and just see this massive Big Mac truck and gone, bring it. But no, he's on a footy field and Shane Mumford decides to switch into gear and absolutely fucking flattered him.
Oh, yeah.
And that was tough. That was tough viewing. And
It's the biggest hit job since Princess Diana.
Oh, Jesus Christ, mate. Yeah, and then my off-field, there was nothing funnier than we won't go down the sausage road. We all know where that went. Impressive. The morning after the 2012 grand final, some of the best footage I've ever seen. He is off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
He's got sunnies on the wrong way round. And the MC's just like interviewing players and he keeps grabbing the microphone going, ow! He's a great laugh, Shane Mumford. So yeah, great career. Anyway, I digress. They had an up and down year, obviously, as I mentioned before, with injuries, Toby Green suspensions left, right and centre, all while he was playing, what I've written down here is all while he was playing scintillating, unstoppable superstar football.
Yeah.
Like, I was sitting with you on the couch at your place. And it was quarter time, 60 metres out against Carlton.
Crazy.
And Toby Green goes, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Torp. Of course he kicks it. Of course he drills it. Not many can do that, but he can. Yeah, he's in that Dustin Martin category. Like when the game when his team needs some magic, he'll just produce it.
I don't know how many
naturally
25
just
touch,
produce it.
3 goal games he had last year, but Jesus, they're hard to come by, and he just did it with ease every second week or something.
Yeah, unbelievable. They lost the semi-final to Geelong, and they really gave it their best. Phil Davis just scraped through. Admirable career for Phil Davis, but God, I don't know how much he's got left in his tank because that body has taken a battering.
Yeah, it is hard to see. They've got a lot going on down back in terms of support. I thought Lockie Ash was pretty good as a defender.
I like him.
He's got a fair bit to offer.
Oh, Sam Taylor.
He was their breakout
Yeah.
last year for me in terms of their young talent taking a huge step forward.
Yeah.
They've still got Nick Haynes. There's a fair bit to work with, and I think Lockie Keefe is still on the...
he's still rolling around.
Yeah, he's still on the...
He played on the weekend.
On the list, so... Yeah, they've got a bit going for them. And a nice mix of young talent, too. So the Bombers were after Bobby Hill.
Yeah, I think you'll get him.
And he's shown
That's
a
the
little bit.
male.
Yeah. He doesn't look too bad. And I think that they can really keep developing, like we said before, Tom Green. If they keep getting some development out of guys like Perryman as well,
Yep.
Jake Riccardi that they're massive on,
Yep.
we'll see what he looks like. That should be exciting. I don't mind their list. Couple that with their top-end talent.
Yep.
Callum Ward, Tim Taranto,
Yep.
Lockie Whitfield. Like, it's a good team.
Yeah, it's a good mix. It really is. Tim Taranto for me. Oh, this guy.
Yeah.
That obviously that photo of him like doing the side plank. Mm-hmm. Oh, all oiled up. Like there's like literally no
Settle down.
no body fat on him. He is ripped and ready to go. This guy. He's a star.
Yeah, well, he's the difference between them winning big games and losing.
Yeah. Well, I've got it written down here, mate. Is this his time? Tim Taranto.
I think
season.
so. So he's in the right mix.
Yeah.
You know, to be
right age too. Would he be about 24 now?
Yeah. So he was pick 2.
Pick 2 in the
20...
McGrath-McCluggage
Yeah,
draft.
McGrath-McCluggage draft. So
Great draft.
Not bad. There's not much on offer after the
But
the top 10.
that top 10. Oh.
It's not bad. But yeah, he's in the right spot to threaten for an All-Australian. Very much so.
Yep.
As a specialist sort of half-forward flanker.
Yep.
I think he can threaten that this year. I really do.
Yeah. Now, with the departure of Jeremy Finlayson, this just gives Jesse Hogan even more license to really show what we've been waiting for years.
Yeah, he's the man now.
He is the man. He is the main
Because-
man. He's found he's his third time lucky.
Yeah.
Third time lucky. Melbourne didn't work out. Fremantle was a disaster. GWS feels right. It feels really good.
I think so,
He
too.
looks happy. He looks at pace with his career, and he played really well last year.
Yep.
I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And Harry Himmelberg's a very serviceable second prong in the attack,
So I'm not sure about that.
aren't you?
I think that there was never any strong classification about the fact that it's whichever key forward, Cameron or Hogan, but it very organically became then Finlayson, then Himmelberg. If you get what I'm saying.
I do get what you mean. I
He's
quite
been
like him.
the third prong
Yeah.
for a large chunk of the time that he's been up there.
Yeah, but I get the feeling that Finlayson was holding him back.
This might be true.
Yeah.
But Jake Riccardi's the one they've got wraps on.
Yes.
And I think they might try and push that agenda at least early in the season, and Himmelberg stays as that third prong.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're giving the ball to Toby. When Toby Green's finally back and
Yeah.
finally playing, and, you know, we won't get into it on this pod about how a guy manages to be given a verdict and then somehow the AFL are allowed to appeal it.
Yeah.
I don't understand how this can happen. You built the system.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, you
Yeah.
know, get over it.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So pretty much I've liked what I've seen in patches in the preseason games and the sample size. If they can stay healthy enough, so if Cornelio can get back to Cornelio, if he can stay on the park, Matt De Boer, yeah, like
Cornelio looked good in the practice game.
God, he looked good. Yeah, and his footy looked good too. Had to.
You go from hating them
Yeah.
to like to not leave you alone in a locked room with a poster now.
Oh, he's a bit of an Adonis, that guy. Look, from what I can see, and if they can stay healthy, as I was saying, they could really trouble a lot of teams again. So I think they're playing finals footy again. The thing is, what I've got written down here is that they are going... So 11 wins last year. I've got them winning 11 games this season. And that's based on what I've seen in the draw and my comparisons to where they're playing and who they're playing at the time. And I actually counted over this 2 or 3 times, and I've still landed on 11 each time. So I still think that they're a 6th or 7th best team. Mm-hmm. I think 5th's their maximum if they're to win 13 or 14 games and shock us a bit.
Sydney was 6th with 14 wins.
14 wins.
I don't know if they can do it, this group.
No.
I don't know if they can get to that height.
So I've got them for 11, which
So
would have them around the 7th.
Are you saying the line is 11.5 or 10.5?
So I'm saying that the line is 11.5, Bob.
You know what, mate? I'm unsure. I'll trust your judgment. I will
So
trust your
literally what
analysis.
I've written here is I don't quite know what they can bring against the big boys. So I don't know if they can match it against the D's or the Dogs. For instance, Brisbane, Port Adelaide, Geelong even. I mean, they beat Geelong in Geelong last year. And Geelong will get to. Because
Actually, I'm going to back them in.
You're going to back him in?
I think so.
Overs.
I think Canelio.
Canelio.
I think Canelio is a huge key here.
Yeah.
A captain, a leader, all those sort of things.
Sam Taylor, Jesse Hogan at each end.
How different? Okay, to contrast it, if you knew that
Braden Pruce,
that Luke Shuey was 100% fit and was expected to play every week, would you still say West Coast were going to have 6 wins?
Probably 7.
So I'll
probably
go,
a win better.
Yeah, right. I'll go over. I'll say that they'll get the 12. I'll go overs.
Nice. I like that. I like it. I'm really bullish at what they can do. I really am. And all past hate and judgment aside, I think they're a really nice little team they've got going there. The Ferrari. I think they're more McLaren, but.
Well, yeah, their challenge is to come from. They're at the top end of that middle 6. Yeah. Their challenge is to jump into the top 6.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the end of part 2. Part 3 coming up right now.